My friends, A Quiet Place Day 1 has now been released in theaters, and I'm gonna get loud about it because I'm not scared. When New York City comes under attack from an alien invasion, a woman and other survivors try to find a way to safety. They soon learn that they must remain absolutely silent as the mysterious creatures are drawn to the slightest sound. And before we dive in, as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new here. But A Quiet Place Day 1 is directed by Michael Sarnowski. Based on a story that he conceived with John Krasinski, the film stars Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, and Alex Wolff, with Jimon Hinsu reprising his role from A Quiet Place Part 2. And man, oh man, I think that after seeing this movie, I've decided that this franchise has now become one of those franchises that I'm just so confident about when stepping into a new installment, whether that be a prequel or a sequel. It's just like the blueprints are there. For each movie, it's always very similar, but the plot surrounding it can change, and that's the beauty of it. Really, my initial thoughts when stepping out of the theater were that this was just another banger of a movie. It's everything that you could want out of a weekend theatrical experience, but Day 1, for me at least, it had even a little extra. The first movie really was silent, like the entire time, and the second film, although it was great, it was just kind of still following that same family. It felt very similar, but this one being set in New York completely changes the game. The scope is bigger, the threat is bigger, there are so many more of these aliens everywhere, and there are so many more people, resulting in so many more casualties. But even with the size getting bigger, they somehow managed to hone in on this emotionally effective plot that at times felt even more intimate than the first. Again, this movie starring Lupita Nyong'o, and she is this terminally ill cancer patient who lives at a hospice in New York City with her service cat, Frodo. So we start this movie knowing that our main character is kind of already knocking on death's door, and there's certainly a heavy weight to that, but she finds something that's worth fighting for. There is this sort of goal that she's trying to get to, and I won't give it away, but along that journey, she meets Joseph Quinn's character, Eric. And for me, at least, when watching these two on screen together, it's just like a masterclass in performance. We all know, or at least I hope you know, like, go watch Us, for instance. Like, we all know that Lupita Nyong'o can act, and so I wasn't shocked by her emotional moments in this movie. She was fantastic as always. What did shock me was Joseph Quinn, our Eddie, rest in peace. He's just a phenomenal performer and has this everyman-like ability about him that really draws you in. And so you put them both together with the cat, of course, and you throw these insanely terrifying aliens into the mix, and you get what is now one of my favorite horror sci-fi films of the year. Something else that I will note is the score. It was done by Alexis Grapsis, and this was one of the clear-cut differences for me when comparing it to the others. There's this theme that comes in towards the beginning of the movie. It kind of seems like the theme of Lupita Nyong'o's character, and having just sat down for A Quiet Place movie, I was just like, oh shit, this is what we're doing, huh? And that score tying into these heavy moments in this film, these big, huge moments or these small, intimate moments, it just worked so well, and you have these really compelling characters that you're working with, and by the time that we get to the climax of the film, it feels earned in a similar way to Krasinski yelling at the end of the first. And I could rant and rave about this film like forever, but I don't want to give too much away. I have 3 more things that I want to talk about, the first being the cat. And look, I'll straighten myself up here. When movies have animals in them, for me at least as a big animal person, it makes things complicated. And when you have New York being attacked by aliens and you have people dying everywhere, I can't help but being like, oh, dang, that sucks. Those people are dying. But where's that cat, though? Is the cat okay? And props to this movie. Like, I gotta give them flowers because it's not something, you know, predictably, it might be something that can take you out of a movie like this, but in no way did it. You could tell that when making this film, they knew that we would all care about this cat so much. They made Frodo like a main character, and he did great. Maybe he should win a Oscar. But the second thing is just something that my wife and I were talking about after watching this movie. It's just these damn aliens. Like, after seeing 3 films in this franchise now, what is their purpose? So far, it feels like they came to Earth just to mess shit up and get weird. And they don't, like, eat humans, which you'd expect maybe, like, these monsters to be, like, trying to eat humans. They actually eat something else, which they show in this film, which is, like, a whole nother conversation. But they very much just seem like bugs, you know? It's almost like a Starship Troopers thing or something. I was talking to her, and I was comparing this a lot to the Cloverfield franchise, And although Cloverfield Paradox was kind of just like a botched job, I wish that they could make a film or some sort of installment for this franchise that's set in space, or something that just gives us a little bit of background, a little bit of detail on where these aliens are coming from. Like, do they have ships in space? Do they have like a society? Are they trying to come to Earth to like colonize it and create a thing? Like, they just seem very predictable and angry, and I need to know the lore here. It's driving me insane. But the third thing, and this kind of ties into that last thing, like, where do they go from here after this film? I feel like this franchise has unlimited potential to keep just making these movies, as long as they continue to keep the characters front and center and then craft the alien stuff around that. It feels like they can't miss. You could literally make A Quiet Place in every part of the world, because humans will all be having their own unique and terrifying experience with these things. I don't know, but it's exciting, and all in all, I just want to say that A Quiet Place Day 1 is yet another fantastic installment. It's action-packed, filled with jump scares, and the story they managed to capture with Lupita Nyong'o's situation and her past, and then bringing in Joseph Quinn. It's emotional and awesome, and I think you're gonna love it. But as always, I do want to give my Jones Vibe star rating on this movie. This is based purely on my enjoyment level, like what I thought just walking out of the theater. And guys, I gotta give A Quiet Place Day 1 4.5 out of 5 stars, no doubt. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. What do you think about this franchise? There's so much going on here, and I just love to hear from you guys about it. Also, my friends, make sure you smash the like button. You can follow me on X at Jones Vibes Only, and make sure you keep up the good vibes. But do you guys think I was making a little bit too much noise during this review?